Gita, feed the goats. Cool.
From the misty realms of Viking lore, where legendary heroes and shield maidens etched their names in the annals of history, there emerges a woman of immense bravery and unparalleled skill. A woman who challenged the norms of her time to stand tall among the greatest warriors of the Viking age. Her name, Lagertha, who according to legend sent a huge red-eyed wolf to kill Ragnar Lothbrok. But we'll get back to that tale later. A figure shrouded in mystery and myth, Lagertha's tale is one of strength, courage, and indomitable will. A shield maiden who could stand toe-to-toe with the Viking berserkers, a strategist who could outmaneuver even the most cunning of kings. But who was Lagertha really? Was she merely a legend spun by fireside storytellers, or was she a living, breathing testament to the indomitable spirit of the Viking people? Let's find out. Back in the early 13th century, a sage named Saxo Grammaticus penned a remarkable tale, known as Gesta Danorum. This tale told the history of the Danes, casting a light on the legendary Viking king, Ragnar Lothbrok. However, nestled within the pages of his saga was the intriguing tale of a woman whose fame was yet to be fully recognized. Lagertha, a legendary Viking shield maiden, was more than just a woman. She was a warrior, a heroine, a mother and the first wife of Ragnar Lothbrok. In modern times, her story has been brought to life by Catherine Winnick in the popular TV series, Vikings, where she stands as a beacon of courage and strength. However, this portrayal differs from what we know. The story of Lagertha told by Saxo Grammaticus is the only historical source that mentions her. Here, she isn't the leading lady, but a companion to the saga of Ragnar, a fascinating footnote in the chronicles of the legendary Viking king. But what a footnote she is! In her tale, Lagertha shines as an intriguing character, a testament to the strength and valor of Viking women. Brave and skilled, she does not merely stand on the sidelines but played a key role in Ragnar's victories. Her courage was not an object of mere admiration, she twice turned the tides of battle in favor of Ragnar. Her story may be rooted in the classical concepts of Amazons, but it's evident that Saxo's tales are deeply interwoven with the Old Norse traditions. Some scholars say Lagertha might be an inspiration of the Norse goddess Thorgerd, a deity revered in Hålogaland, Norway. Saxo sets the stage for Ragnar and Lagertha's meeting by describing how the Swedish king Fro had slain Sigurd, king of the Norwegians and Ragnar's grandfather. Fro had publicly humiliated Sigurd's female family members by putting them in a brothel. Ragnar, having just succeeded his father Sigurd Auring to the throne of Jutland in Denmark, hears of this and is obviously not best pleased. Heading to Norway with vengeance on his mind, Ragnar is met at his camp by some of the women who had been humiliated. Dressed up in battle gear, they made ready to join him in the hunt for King Fro. In the ensuing successful battle, it is one maiden in particular who stands out to Ragnar. He even goes so far as to attribute the victory to her might alone. This is, of course, Lagertha, who is described by Saxo as a skilled Amazon. Though a maiden, she had the courage of a man and fought in front among the bravest warriors, with her hair flowing triumphantly over her shoulders. As it says in Saxo's ancient text,
all marvelled at her matchless deeds, for her locks flying down her back betrayed the fact she was indeed a woman.
If the fighting skills of the legendary shield maiden were not enough to set Ragnar's heart aflame, he also hears she is of noble birth. He instantly starts courting her long distance by sending messages to her home. Saxo tells of Lagertha pretending to show interest, leading Ragnar on. In this time she sets up an advanced defense system around her house in the Golardal Valley, in present-day Norway. According to legend, a bear and a huge dog stood guard on her porch, ready to tear her hopeful lover to pieces. When Ragnar travels to Lagertha, picturing an easy win, he greets the hairy guardians. Although a surprise to him, they prove no match and fall to his legendary skills. One speared through the heart while the other was strangled to death. Lagertha becomes Ragnar's prize, and in their subsequent marriage, they have 2 unnamed daughters as well as a son, Fridleif. What a way to win a girl's heart. Ragnar spends 3 peaceful years in Norway with Lagertha before civil unrest in his own kingdom demands he return home. At this point, Saxo's account turns to more familiar waters when it comes to the Ragnar legend. He introduces King Herod of Sweden, known from the main source on Ragnar, the saga of Ragnar Lothbrok. Herod's daughter Thora had raised a bunch of poisonous snakes. After some time, the snakes grew huge and out of control. Herod offers his daughter's hand to whoever can rid him of their problem. Ragnar decides he's the man for the job, especially after meeting the fine young lady in person. Just before he reveals his desire for Thora, he divorces Lagertha, who is said to be heartbroken. According to Saxo, he now thought ill of her trustworthiness, remembering long ago she'd sent the most savage beasts to destroy him. He fashions the characteristic hairy trousers that give him his nickname, Lothbrok, which means shaggy or hairy breeches. He leaves his son Fridleif in charge of his men and goes to fight the snakes alone. Afterwards, with his mission triumphantly fulfilled, he marries Herod's daughter Thora. Thora is a well-known core element in the various Ragnar stories, and Lagertha then has a small part in a sort of prologue. However, this is not the end of her involvement in the texts penned by Saxo. She remarries and is later asked by Ragnar for aid in his squabbles in his homeland. Not only does Lagertha agree, she offers 120 ships to the very man who had at one time deserted her. She herself once again plays a decisive role in the battle. When hope is wavering and Ragnar's son Sigurd is wounded, all seems lost. Then warrior Lagertha turns the tide of battle, as Saxo writes.
Lagertha, who had a matchless spirit though a delicate frame, covered by her splendid bravery the inclination of the soldiers to waver, for she made a sally about, and flew round to the rear of the enemy, taking them unawares, and thus turned the panic of her friends into the camp of the enemy. At last the lines of Harold became slack, and Harold himself was routed with a great slaughter of his men.
Saxo ends Lagertha's story on a brutal note. He states that when she returned from battle, she murdered her husband with a dagger hidden in her dress, usurped his name and ruled in his stead. For this episode, she's denounced by him as a most presumptuous dame. Clearly influenced by Old Norse traditions, the precise sources from which Saxo gathered his legends are not entirely understood. Where it concerns his portrayal of Ragnar Lothbrok, Saxo appears to have relied on many different stories known to him, perhaps attempting to reconcile the various versions. Lagertha, then, is essentially an insertion into Saxo's take on Ragnar's story. But what inspired Saxo to add her in some works, yet leave her absent from the others, is not entirely clear. A fiercely independent woman, a skilled warrior, and a deeply respected and feared leader. Lagertha's shown us all what it means to be a Viking. It's about much more than just brute strength and conquest. It's about honor, courage, and a determination that never wanes. Lagertha's tale is an enduring testament to the power of the human spirit, a saga that transcends time, and is a vivid reminder that everyone, regardless of gender or status, can write their own epic, just like she did. And the final takeaway: fending off the affections of Ragnar Lothbrok with a dog and a bear is clearly grossly inadequate.
In my dreams, we are always together.
So that about wraps it up for today. Hit that like button quite hard, I heard it doesn't like kittens. Also subscribe and click the notification bell, so we can make you look silly in the cinema. See you next time.